This Week in Pharmacy, I have a panel that we're bringing in because of the excitement that we found during a press release that was just came out in February, end of February, mid-February, February 16th. The press release read, Independent Pharmacy Cooperative and Legacy Pharmacy Group announce a strategic cooperation agreement. And someone who pays a lot of attention to how these types of partnerships impact our independent community pharmacies throughout the country. I was very interested in learning more about this partnership, and I'm very excited to have today the CEO of the Legacy Pharmacy Group, Ritesh Shah, the CEO of IPC, Mark Asenza, and our government relations lead at IPC, Mark Kinney. Welcome to TWIRx, guys.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be on.
So I'm not going to make any of you TWIRx unless you really want to, but we're here today. Speaking about the importance of this, we're going through some major changes in our profession. The last 2 years, I would say 2023, 24, were a lot of black eyes on our independent community pharmacies. But something that I'm sensing is a resurgence in strength and positioning with regards to some of our high-performing pharmacies, and it's giving a lot of lesson and mastermind-like direction to other community pharmacies to say, hey, we have to start changing our business models in ways in order to keep up with these changing times, and really not standing or waiting around for PBM reform to be perfect. And I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I don't think it'll ever be perfect, but these kinds of partnerships are key. Ritesh, tell us about your organization and why the joining forces with IPC is so important.
Todd, thank you so much. We are super excited to have this partnership with IPC, which needs no introduction in this pharma space. But I'm a pharmacist by trade, married to a pharmacist to get. I always use that to get better discount because people get excited. But as a pharmacist-owned GPO, we are in this space for more than 10 years and having about 700 plus pharmacies in about 16 plus states, our presence. So for me, more is about pharmacy, pharmacists, the oath of pharmacists, and how do we do it? And in the world of this PBMs and how pharmacists has been treated, we did not think twice. How do we strategize to work with IPC as they have a unique position in market space, and our strategic partnership with IPC, with our Mechanism customers, not only brings we often talk about the cost of goods, but also so many other avenues that I am personally interested as a pharmacist and CEO, that what they do and what they bring on, so I can bring that to our Legacy Pharmacy Group members. And one of the unique stuff that they are doing at eye care, and I'm super duper excited about bringing that awareness for patients, which is a center focal point, as we are committed for this, for our patients. And that's how my GPO has been growing as one of the fastest growing GPO in the East Coast side. So I'm super duper excited to partner with IPC and Mark and his vision to bring this relationship in a next level. Thank you.
No, thank you, Ritesh. I appreciate that. Mark, welcome back to TWIRx. It's great to see you. It's great to have you back. You have a quote out on this press release, and it says, this partnership is a big step for IPC and LPG community pharmacies. This collaboration creates new opportunities to grow, improve patient care, and strengthen the future of community pharmacy. Together, we're building a more resilient and innovative healthcare system. I want you to elaborate on that, because when I read that statement, I knew coming from you, you don't say stuff unless you really mean it. I've talked to you in so many round circles, and the wisdom that you give out, it's not as often as me, who talks all the time, but when you give it, I pay attention. So tell us about the strategic partnership with LPG.
Yeah, we're certainly excited with Ritesh and Legacy to be strategically aligned in terms of moving community pharmacy forward here in the U.S. One of the things that we've been working on, and we've talked about this in the past, is our table stakes as an industry through NCPA, through the work that we're doing in government affairs, is PBM reform, getting fair reimbursement, going towards provider status. Those are table stakes for where it is today. But even if, and to your point earlier, it has it being a glass half full, the reimbursement and the cost of goods side is not going to sustain community pharmacy long into the future. So what we've been endeavoring to do in partnerships such as Legacy and our friends at Aspire is a matter of how do we get community pharmacies, as we call them, future ready, such that, as we learned during the COVID pandemic, community pharmacy is as much a part of the healthcare infrastructure of America as any other hospital, provider practice, those types of things. And if anything, it's the lowest cost, most accessible entrance into the health space. So what we're trying to do is take that infrastructure, take that halo effect we had from the pandemic, where we were really helpful to the nation, and people started to realize how important it is that we are to the infrastructure, and building these tools such that community pharmacy through our digital health platform can have access to teledoc services, remote patient monitoring, point of care testing, and then even taking it a step further where we actually have clinics within our digital health atmosphere, such as we have a weight loss clinic where you can access a doctor, you can access the prescriptions, as well as the services that you need, just over and above the prescription in and of itself. So it's a matter of going back, adding that capability of community pharmacy, and then going to your plan sponsors, going to brand manufacturers, going to even PBMs or the wholesalers, where we have these capabilities. We are the lowest cost to serve environment, and this is where we can start to add savings and synergies within the market space in order to deliver healthcare better, make community pharmacies sustainable, and make them as much part of the care continuum and the care team as our vision suggests. So we're very excited, obviously, with Legacy joining forces with us to be able to access these types of tools, be able to future-proof and future-ready independent pharmacy, and quite honestly, to continue to grow our network in order to have that heat map coverage for patients in both rural and urban settings, that we can start to deliver these things that we've been building.
The public is finally realizing the importance of pharmacy based on the coverage that our big media outsource groups are putting out there just this week in pharmacy. San Francisco leaders explore options as pharmacies struggle to stay open. This is from CBS News, and it comes out of the Bay Area, specific to the struggles that the San Francisco area is having with pharmacy coverage. That's not news to us. We know this. We live this. We know that the decline started about 5 years ago, and there was going to be issues based on the rise of the gluttonous, profiteering big three PBMs, and everyone in the space started making adjustments, and what those adjustments meant that you were going to start building relationships with politicians throughout the nation. And people like Mark McKinney are key to that. And these two organizations have been working together on an advocacy for independent pharmacies with this partnership to make it even stronger moving forward, these two groups together. And everyone can agree that we need a seat at the table, a voice at the table. And we're excited to have the four of you speaking. I do want to shift it to Mark McKinney, just to give us an opening and overview on some of the things that you'll be working on together, specifically in the great state of New York and New Jersey.
Yeah, Todd, thank you for that. No one's more excited about this partnership than I am, only because we've had a great relationship in the government relations arena for quite some years now, and we've worked with Ritesh and Legacy Group, and been able to accomplish, I think, some really good outcomes with that. And Legacy Group, they do it the right way. They invest the resources. They have boots on the ground. They have relationships with their elected officials. And it's not the easy way, but it's the right way. And because of that, I think they've enjoyed some success. And I'm really excited about, while we've worked with them in the past, I think, as you indicated, Todd, is that, it'll be, a bigger voice, a stronger voice out there as we partner and work together in the future.
You also mentioned New Jersey. One of the biggest things that you're working on, members of the New Jersey Independent Pharmacy Coalition, is a bill that started last year that would require Medicaid managed care reform to become transparent. And can you kind of expand upon that, Mark, and how that's going to be positioned and work?
Yeah, I mean, we've been working with this in different states as well, but Medicaid managed reform is important to make sure that the reimbursement rates are objective and transparent in a particular state Medicaid program. And right now it's under managed care. Many times it's opaque, not transparent. So it's good for the patients, it's good for the government, and it's good for the pharmacies. I would like to stop at the New York issue again, and the, there we're doing a commercial floor bill that's would set a commercial floor reimbursement that is really new, but it's happening across the country. And we're really excited about that. And then also a test and treat bill, which will bring in, hopefully, if passed, new revenues for our independent pharmacy members. And that's one of the things I think, Ritesh and I, what we see is, government relations can be a vehicle for bringing in new revenue sources and expanding the scope of pharmacy services and really providing some support for our member pharmacies.
So when you think of the heat that is finally being put on the PBMs, now is the time to engage those state representatives. Mark, give some coaching to our listeners who are pharmacy owners out there, kind of in engaging their state representatives and bringing them into the pharmacy, touring them, and describing the benefit and the value that they present to their communities.
Yeah, Todd, that's spot on. The number one thing that our member pharmacies can do is get to know their elected official, invite them into their pharmacy, see how they interact with those patients. And that has been a game changer when that happens. The other thing that we do is, with our grassroots, we notify our members to reach out on specific legislation and talk to their elected officials about that. What we've found here recently is that we're getting a much bigger uptick on responses to that. And I think a lot of pharmacies, one, they're very busy, so understand that. But two, it's kind of maybe a scary process if you've never done it before. And we try to make it as easy as possible. And the pharmacists that have now done this, the response back was, boy, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. So now the good news is that, we're getting more and more responses back that, in fact, they have reached out, and we can track that. And I think especially in the States, pharmacies are seeing the fruit of that labor because we're passing some really good legislation.
Ritesh, it's not your first rodeo. You know exactly how to do this. Kind of explain some of the success stories that you've had in engaging our state representatives to really educate them.
You know what I learned, and I'll share a small story when I put my foot into the understanding how politicians, the legislators, and the elected officials can make a difference in time. They are constantly worried about two things. One is money, and the second one is votes. And we all know this. So what I've been doing it for more than decades now, educating it. And I was able to build up this relationship for so many years now. And now I have so many legislators on my cell phone, and when they are on the floor, they'll be texting Ritesh, should I do yes or no on this bill? That kind of relationship. And we have a true champion, Senator Vin Gopal, now he's a Senate Majority Whip. who has been helping us single-handedly with so many great legislators here in New Jersey, including Senate President and Assembly Speaker Senator Raj Mukherjee, who understand and who've been on the forefront of this. And how Mark said, currently what is happening in 2025, that Medicaid, managed care, and also fee-for-service, which has been a huge focal point for us, and we want to make sure we can get that accomplished. And I have commitment from those legislators to have that on a governor's desk to get signed. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be meeting 6 legislators tonight at 6:30 right here in Eatontown. Senator Gopal, Assemblyman Stanley Shirley, Assemblyman who's just entered, and 2 Congressman Herb Conway, who just became District 6 Congressman in a House of Representatives. He took a seat, Balwinder Singh, a Sikh Indian American, to be elected in Assembly. So I'm going to be there. I'm hosting them. And this is what we're going to, as we talk more about, because they know they need us. New Jersey, we are at about 700 and change community pharmacists left. And they know how we work closely for better patient access. And this is the key point. And they know if we are taken out from this equation, New Jersey would not have that health care that they need. We have proven as a community pharmacy owners during pandemic, when governor needed us, as a legacy, as a pharmacist, we deployed those pharmacists to be there to do COVID specimen collection and vaccinations. We were the first one. We got on record with the Board of Pharmacy to do this, and legislators understand. I'm the face for my community pharmacy owners, and they know we are struggling. But having IPC now, I remember John Cavallo, who came with a check to support Senator Gopal, and said, hey, no, Ritesh, we are in this together. So having organization under leadership of Mark at IPC, as they support so many states, but supporting New Jersey is very important. And we are happy with this great partnership that, I see light at the end of the tunnel. There's a lot of work needs to be done, but listen, it's not 1, 2, 3. It's not a transactional. We need to be constantly at it to make this happen. And we'll get some results. I'm committed to it. So that's what I have my 2 cents on this.
Well, that's exciting. Something that you said, Mark, and I want to bring this back up for our listeners, is and we can't get into it today. We don't have enough time. I'll bring Ashton back to dig in, but the iCare Plus platform is a game changer. And if you're listening right now and you don't know about this, you can Google iCare Plus, like the plus sign, IPC. It comes right up on Google. And we have had several episodes about that. I'm going to make an assumption, Mark, and I'll kick it back to you to follow up on the assumption. And that is, now we can take all of the pharmacies in this partnership and give them access to becoming tech, digital health empowered through the iCare Plus system. Is that true?
Yeah, you're exactly right. So you become a virtual healthcare center once we've installed the program at each one of these pharmacies, and then they'll have access to all the tools and items that we can use in terms of being able to get patient access, being able to serve their communities, and being able to partner with the providers either in their community or with the providers that we have on the platform. So we're very excited about getting as many of the stores access to this. The whole platform is pharmacy centric. So typically EMRs are centric around either a primary care provider or a hospital system. This one here is very pharmacy centric. So being able to be as much a part of the care team and almost the quarterback in some of these things with the first interaction with a patient is going to be very important now and into the future. And as we look at ways to look at savings within the overall healthcare system, being able to move patients or serve patients with the lowest cost settings in the future is going to be important for the nation to be able to bring down overall costs without harming patient access or benefits, which is one of the mantras of of both parties is to not to damage any of these benefits, but certainly it is to deliver it in a more cost effective as well as clinically effective solution. So we're excited about getting our members access to that, and certainly legacy members now have access to this program and being able to get set up.
That's terrific. We are also excited about that announcement and the technology and the platform. We will be doing more additional coverage on iCare Plus. If you're curious, once again, you can go to my iCare Plus. That's my letter I care plus.com. My care plus myicareplus.com. And so we'll be seeing the team, the IPC team, at Idea Share this coming summer. Ritesh, you'll be there, right?
We'll be there, yes.
Absolutely. We're going to be doing some shows there. We're going to have a lot of guest hosts. Ritesh will have to assign you to a subject and get you talking about it and pulling in some members. It would be wonderful. Mark, we have to do a follow-up on the PBM Reform podcast and get some updates from a national and a state perspective. We'll always appreciate your insights. Mark, it was so exciting to work with the team at the Atrium X conference that went really well, a mastermind conference that was very novel and new. And we're looking forward to working with IPC and other national conferences as well, Mark.
Excellent. Well, thank you for all you do for independent pharmacy, getting the word out, spreading the knowledge to independent pharmacists, legislators, and anybody else within this ecosphere. So thank you for what you do as well on a week in and week out basis.
Absolutely. Hey, listeners, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. You're listening to This Week in Pharmacy.
This episode is sponsored by Independent Pharmacy Cooperative, widely known as IPC. Established in 1983, IPC is the nation's largest group purchasing organization owned by independent pharmacy. With a mission of maximizing the success of community pharmacists, IPC works to provide members with access to effective programs and services designed to enhance profitability for independent pharmacy. Read more about our mission by checking out our website at ipcrx.com. That's ipcrx.com.
Hey, welcome back to This Week in Pharmacy. This is an interesting next segment because there's two guys that I've known for quite some time. It's making me feel old that started commenting on a LinkedIn post, and it was initially crafted by the one and only Dr. Joey Mattingly, who is one of my PBM heroes, and what he had to say in the last time we had him on TWIRx. But he commented on the whole GLP-1 compound distribution, branded, not branded. What are your partners in pharmacy contracts? And I love the post, and I love the comments that were coming from Darshan Kulkarni, who's no stranger to the pharmacy podcast land. I'm so excited to have you both today. Welcome to TWIRx. And I'm not going to TWIRx unless you guys want to TWIRx. You could get up and do something.
I mean, I'm here with the Podfather and Mr. Mattingly. Like, I'm not worthy. So, for those people who don't get it, that's from, what was the show? From Saturday Night Live.
That was actually Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World. Yeah.
But that came from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, but maybe it was originally part of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
That's crazy how that stuff all comes to be.
And now we're officially old.
Pop
Yeah, I don't know if my students would get the Wayne's World joke. Now they say that.
No, they won't. They absolutely won't. All right. Why did this tweak your and have your spider sense tingling, Joey? What was it about the story that got you going?
Yeah. So thanks again for letting us have a conversation about it. Because sometimes social media posts, you're trying to make you're trying to get a point out there, and it turns into, and actually several folks that are involved with these companies have reached out, at least connected, and I want to be clear that I have nothing against any of these companies that are pursuing this. And I don't have any special connections to them or anything like that. I've been very concerned broadly about where we're heading with how we advertise pharmaceuticals, both drug company or pharmacy, or how pharmacies are involved. And I've been very active. Recently, we published a paper in JAMA Health Forum on the marketing of these GLP-1s. And so specifically with this ad, you've got a really cool meme, and I do like the meme. It's a funny meme. And it's, essentially the bigger guy looking at Fella and looking away from the high-priced Ozempic, right? So they are essentially marketing their low-price product. And then, of course, when you really dive into what this Fella Health is doing, and it's a telehealth company, and then they're working with a couple pharmacy partners who are providing compounded GLP-1s. And my concern is, like, we're having like mass production of compounded products that starts getting away from what I believe compounding is, and I'm very supportive of compounding pharmacy. Absolutely love compounding as part of our profession. But we're in a place here where it feels like we're creating generic drugs, and we're not following the same processes of other generic drugs, and it's creating a lot of things that are making me uncomfortable. So I called it out, and I know the folks at Strive Pharmacy have commented, and Fella have commented, so I know that they're probably not too happy with me, but happy to talk with them too, because I want them to be successful businesses. I just want to, I'm more concerned about the overall policy and what we're doing for our supply chain.
Well, guess what, guys and listeners? We have a lawyer on with us today, and we're going to throw him into the fire. And your skin is so thick, Darshan, that you're ready for anything. So what do you think about all this?
So let's start by the usual disclaimer. This is not legal advice. Having said that, I've literally written the book on clinical research and on advertising and on pharmacy. I've actually helped some of the people here on it. So I'm very, very familiar with the space. And to be clear, your situation may be different. The general rule is that the FDA, the Office of Drug Promotion, OPDP really stands for, comes in and basically says, look, we're going to allow you to market a drug. You're going to have to make sure that there's fair balance, for example, that you're making claims that can be supported. So to that, and failure to do that exposes companies to multi-billion-dollar fines. And there are a range of different things that come into that, but you could be looking at multi-billion-dollar fines. GSK paid a $3 billion fine at one point, not related directly to this, but the idea being, we don't want patients. And to be clear, both Joey and I are pharmacists, so it's not like I'm coming from a place of, I don't want pharmacy to succeed. I was a pharmacist. I am a pharmacist. So I think compounding serves a huge role, but it serves a role. And I think what we're now starting to see is pharmacies trying to say we're more than that. And that's what concerns me. Are we really now operating the best interest of patients? They were supposed to be about either addressing shortages or they were addressing special needs. And my question is, what are we doing in that specific instance? If you pull up the ad you have right up there, pharmaceutical companies in general run all of their ads through what's called a PRC committee, a promotional review committee. That you have a lawyer, you have a regulatory person, and you have a medical person, all reviewing any potential outgoing documentation to see, does that make sense? Is it reflective? In these specific situations, what you land up with is someone saying, how is that claim supported? So to that end, you have a bigger guy claiming that Fella is something that's more attractive to him or her than Ozempic. Mm-hmm. If that's true, what is the basis of your superiority claim? Where's the fair balance? Mm-hmm. And that none of that exists. And to me, that's what concerns me. You're seeing people make claims that you simply couldn't justify. The Supreme Court had, and a lot of compounding pharmacies go back to Western states and try to say that's what gives me the authority to advertise. Well, it doesn't. And I would argue that Western states was number one in the early 2000s, before 503A and 503B pharmacies came out. It was in a very specific time and place. And since then, First Amendment law has evolved. you are seeing that you have to at all times be truthful and not misleading. My question to you, and I'm not asking either one of you to answer this. This is, but is that truthful and not misleading? And I'm sure I could get several people to argue that it is. And that's my concern. I'm not saying that this should be specifically targeted. The question is, do we need better oversight? And to that end, there are actual laws that are being considered specifically to address this. The reason we have less enforcement around this, and that's not to say no enforcement, there is enforcement. The reason you're seeing less enforcement around this is because the FDA's purview is a little unclear. The purview is, are they allowed to regulate drug advertising if it comes from a compounding pharmacy? That's not to say that the DOJ couldn't do it. The DOJ could absolutely get into it. State boards of pharmacy can absolutely get into it. The question is, do they have the expertise? You see someone being harmed, that's when you're going to see the problems. We saw this with compounding pharmacies in general. Compounding pharmacy, I remember taking a course from University of Florida in 2008 with, I forget the company, and they were great. They taught me how to compound. But I remember going, things need to evolve. I can't believe some of the claims I'm allowed to make. And then you saw the big tragedy in 2012, 2013, and that's what caused 503As and 503Bs to happen. We're starting to see that same problem with some of the advertisements. We're seeing claims being made that are unsupported, and that's the concern. That's the problem. I'll stop right there.
Well, that's the whole point of this post, Joey, is your concern. And when you come at things, you always give a balanced approach, even though people jump on you on Twitter and obviously on LinkedIn. But I see a balance of what you're trying to say. And back to what Darshan's saying, in protection of true compounders and people out there who are diligent and who follow the processes to the T. And
there's some great ones. Let's be clear that there are some great compounding pharmacies that do that right.
Yep, exactly.
And I definitely don't want to say that the folks at either of these two companies, like they could be doing it very well too, right? And so ultimately, it's like we just have to recognize, like there was a study that a large number of, like, we've got some bad actors in this space that are taking advantage of people. There are people throwing up websites. Some aren't even delivering product. Some are delivering product and it's adulterated, or it's not actually what it says it is. And so you got some bad actors in the space, which, you know, the Alliance for Pharmacy Compounding, like Scott and his team, they've done a phenomenal job trying to educate people on this, which is awesome, right? Like, I love that, that they know that this could harm legitimate compounding when there are bad actors. So they are on it as well. I'm not saying these guys are. I'm just saying that the way that they're advertising, we've got to be careful with what's happening here and ask, like, what, you know, is this appropriate? Because also, like, do we think drug companies aren't watching this? Like, do we want drug advertisements? Do we want, like, the big guys to start putting their money into ads? Like, you know, I criticized the Super Bowl ad that Hims and Hers did a few weeks ago, and you know, I played it in class, and all my PharmD students, like several of them, like kind of gasped, or like what? And then I was like, all right, so why are you uncomfortable with the Super Bowl ad? Like, it's catchy, it's kind of fun, it's kind of cool, but what's the issue, right? Like, what's happening? And if my PharmD students feel that, oh yeah, there's something kind of wrong about this, then maybe it's time we have a broader discussion. And look, I'm not saying it's illegal either. Someone, I think, commented, I think someone from Strive on my post commented that what they're doing is not illegal. I'm not saying it's not illegal. It may be perfectly legal, but that's not for me to decide. I'm trying to say we need to have this conversation and figure out, like, what should be appropriate, and do we need updated laws? And Senator Durbin and Marshall have introduced bipartisan legislation to try to bring this to discussion. So maybe it's time that we do that.
I would also argue that the question of legal, everything's legal. It's sort of like lying on your taxes. Everything is legal until you get caught. Yeah. And that's the part you have to be worried about. There are some significant concerns with what was put out there in the ad you just picked out. I'm not saying that speaks to them overall. That's not even saying that I'm commenting on that specific ad, because I'm not their lawyer. I'm not making a claim about it. But I would probably have issues with that ad as it's put out. It's one person's discussion on without being legal advice. And I review ads for a living. So there's that element.
Yeah. Can I ask also, there, Sean, how do you feel about the use of cost as a use for compounding? Because one of the issues that's been coming up is that, and this early in my career, there were some times where I knew that a compounded product could be more affordable for a patient for various reasons versus the branded product, right?
Yeah.
And so I just want to be clear that I 1,000% empathize with any pharmacist and any patient that's in a situation where, like, you know, if I can get it compounded cheaper, I'm going to go that route. Like, I totally understand that. And that's a bigger issue with like our insurance, the way our insurance is done, the way our healthcare system is set up. But like the way this is currently going, you're subverting patents. You know, like you're saying, can I just compound this this brand name drug and give it to you at $200 a month, when, you know what I mean? Like is that's a sneaky way around our patent system, and I feel crazy uncomfortable about that.
So several different things. Number one, it's not a sneaky way around the patent system because the patent system is completely separate. You can still be in violation of patents. So let's be clear about that existing. Number two, you could still violate. The only game in town is not the FDA, contrary to popular belief. You also have the FTC. You also have state boards of pharmacy who could be looking at it. And then if you add on to it, now in this case, it may not apply, but you often see doctors who are doing similar advertisements. You could have the state board of medicine that comes in as well. Then to the question you were pointing out, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm almost issue spotting, but the other piece of it is you asked, what do you think about the use of money as the differentiating factor? This is actually a settled question. The FDA has specifically gotten into it. You use what's called a CARS standard. So health economics claims are supported or have to be reviewed under the CARS standard, competent and reliable scientific evidence. What studies have you done to prove that this is better? For example, if you're saying that this, I think it was $199 versus $1,200, whatever, it doesn't really matter. In that specific situation, what factors are you considering? Are you just looking at cost price? Are you looking at cost price plus nursing care? Are you looking at cost price plus nursing care plus adverse events? What happens in the case of admissibility? How many people were you looking at? I'm not saying it's wrong. Obviously, on its face, it may be completely accurate. But is it completely accurate? And if you're just making a claim based on, well, it's obvious, isn't it? That does not satisfy a competent and reliable scientific evidence standard. Did that answer the question, Joey?
Absolutely. I hadn't thought about, and again, as when you're not factoring in the cost of potential adverse events, that's
right.
And you wonder why pharmaceutical companies, and again, that like they're not, like, I've not seen, and I want to maybe use Eli Lilly and Novo and these groups. So they've been round and round over insulin for 20 years and 30, right? You know, they typically don't, you know, well, I guess now that they've got, so I guess for the audience as well, if they haven't seen the news, Eli Lilly has had their Eli Lilly Direct, and then Novo Nordisk just announced their direct to consumer. Also, Eli Lilly is partnering with a company called Ro, which is also an online telehealth company. So this is where we're headed, and maybe the big pharmaceutical manufacturers are getting in this, and there's maybe, if I could play devil's advocate, maybe there's a positive. You know, the fact that these companies are pushing the envelope, it's forcing the big guys to move as well. So maybe there's a net benefit in this, and that it forces these guys to lower their price and go direct to consumer or do some other things.
I'm gonna add on to what you said there, Joey, because the pricing that came out from both Novo and from Lilly was $500, which I think is amazing. Because the truth is, are you pulling it up? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And that's just Lilly. Today, if you pull up today's news, Novo put out its information, and they're going to charge about $500 as well. Now, the average compounding pharmacy is probably in the $299 to $499 range, so it's within range of what you're talking about, except it's being made in a manufacturing facility. Now, I will argue that I've been using one of these products for a while. So I'm a patient. I'm not speaking purely from just a pharmacist perspective or a lawyer perspective. I'm speaking from the patient perspective. So I 1000% understand the idea of I need a drug because it's addressing my liver, it's addressing my diabetes, it's addressing my weight loss. Like, all of these are important things. So I'm 1000% in favor of having the drug available. And Novo, if you can't do it, that's on you. Lilly, if you can't do it, that's on you. And these pharmacies have forced these companies to literally go, all bets are off. We're going to invest in manufacturing facilities and get these drugs online. And they did. And allegedly, and there's a whole lawsuit about this, the shortages are resolved because, I would argue, because of these compounding facilities. But that doesn't give us, as pharmacists, as lawyers, free reign to advertise a drug in a way that is not completely consistent with a truthful and not misleading standard. Because the Supreme Court has always said that that's the standard. So I'm pretty sure you couldn't meet that standard with what was put out there.
This is interesting, and the headline at USA Today is Wegovy price cut. Novo Nordisk cuts the price of the weight loss drug for the uninsured. And I saw so many.
Could you scroll down to see what the price was, though, so just so people can see it?
Where is the price?
I think there should be one. There you go, $4.99 per month.
Yep, NovoCare.
What I think is interesting, and I know, Todd, we're going to have a different discussion about this, whether we're talking about Roe, whether we're talking about NovoCare or Lilly Direct. Are they going to eliminate pharmacies because they suddenly start seeing this antagonistic relationship?
Mm-hmm.
And that worries me. Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, I was just going to comment, one of the issues we run into when we think about shortage of these products is sometimes is it related to a shortage at the manufacturer level, or are there pharmacies not stocking these products because of their reimbursement rates? That actually, I believe that is true in a lot of cases. I think if you have some pharmacies looking at losing money on dispensing these, it's crazy. That's crazy to me that could be happening, and that's likely what we could run into here. So we need to have a bigger conversation, because right now pharmacies are probably watching and seeing well, what's going on? These telehealth companies are not partnering, and then there's and you can't just go to your local Walgreens or your local or any other or your independent pharmacy that doesn't have a contract, with this kind of thing. And then they try to take the patient's insurance, whether or not if the patient's insurance actually covers it, then they might, lose money on their AWP based arrangement.
Yep. I really appreciate this. Your insights, both of you. Definitely want to have you back on another This Week in Pharmacy. We can dig deeper. If you're listening and you want to reach out to either of these pharmacy mavericks, reach out to Joey Mattingly on LinkedIn or Darshan Kulkarni on LinkedIn. I can't wait for your next discussion. Darshan, you do a ton of LinkedIn Lives, and I enjoy those. So you have to promise to come back, and the three of us can, what do they call this? Squabble butting or pobble talking or whatever we're doing.
Is that a thing? I've now learned two new words: squabble butting and pobble talking.
Pobble talking. It's the kids' language. It's the Riz out there. It's the skibbity. I'm trying to learn the new words. I'm not doing a good job on it.
I'm gonna pobble talk with you later, Todd.
That's right. We can pobble talk.
All right, it's an honor. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. We'll talk to you next time on TWIRx. Oh, that was fun. That was fun to be able to really dive in and talk with Darshan and Joey Mattingly. That's exciting for us to be able to get news to you coming out as quickly as possible. We want you to get involved. If you have something that you want to share on a future This Week in Pharmacy, please reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn, easy to find, at Pharmacy Podcast on any of the social media platforms. We will be attending the APHA, the American Pharmacists Association 2025 event. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. If you are attending, make sure that you come to our press booth. We will be in booth 125. That's 125. And we are thrilled to be working with Route, RX for Route. And it's a logistics company that's going to be talking about outsourced staffing and how you can leverage outsourced talented staffing that understands your business and understands the business of pharmacy to expand your team without paying full price for a full-time employee. It's a really interesting model. Cannot wait to share more about this on This Week in Pharmacy. I hope you have a great week. Please reach out. Please subscribe to the show. Please share TWIRx, because we're working for you. That's just not a thing. I have to come up with a good tagline for TWIRx. This Week in Pharmacy. We'll talk to you next time.